guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Megan. I am currently 15 weeks postpartum. I did a video before of what's on my registry, and today I want to tackle what am I actually using, what do I regret buying, what do I wish I would have bought, and all the things that we're loving and using the most at 15 weeks. To start, we'll do what my daughter is currently on. I would say this isn't something that she uses all the time. She does love these balls. She always loves looking at them, except for right now because whenever my phone is out, she just stops doing whatever she's doing. But she does like looking at them. There's also a music feature that I have off just because I'm filming, but she loves the music too. Our daughter loves music, but this isn't something that we use all of the time. Maybe it's something she'll grow into more, but it's probably one of the least used play items. This, on the other hand, her play mat, she loves. She spends by far the most time on this play mat. She could be down here for an hour occupying herself, and it's so cool because at all different stages she used different things. So in the beginning she loved this pillow, then she got into kicking all of these things, then she started getting really into the mirror, and now that she's 3 months she's starting to use her hands more, so she'll pick these up and I'll take them off and she'll interact with them in her hand. I actually had some tin foil and she was playing with that earlier. Over here is our monitor. I use this a little bit. I did not use it at my old place because it was a 1-bedroom apartment, so it wasn't something that we needed. Now that we're in a bigger place, I do use this. It's next to her playmat because it's usually where I'll leave her while I like make breakfast, for example, or do something like that. So it's nice to have, but I think once she moves into her nursery, she's still sleeping in her room, we'll get a lot more use out of it. Next are these burp cloths. I don't think that you specifically need a burp cloth. I typically use the swaddle like rags or blankets most often to pick up or spit up, but these are helpful. I keep one downstairs in case she spits up while I'm feeding on the couch. This diaper bag, definitely worth the investment. As you can see, it is very full. We didn't leave the house too much the first month, but now we definitely go about our daily lives a lot more. And these are the swaddle cloths that I was talking about. I use this more often than a traditional burp cloth for her spit up. And then in here we have the baby carrier by the brand Ergobaby. I definitely used this more when she was little. I would put her in it at church or if we were going anywhere. But now that she's bigger, she loves to like flail her legs everywhere and she doesn't love being in it. I still use it when I go grocery shopping because it's the only way I can grocery shop with her, but she doesn't love it. This breast cover for breastfeeding, not something I really use. I didn't really use it for the first time until I went to Indiana because I had to. I was breastfeeding in public and she hated it. She was constantly whipping it off of me. And it's not the most comfortable for me either. It's a lot harder to get a latch. So I don't know. I think you can honestly do without it a lot of the times. Half the time I'll just breastfeed in a bathroom when I'm in public. But I guess it depends on how often you're like on the streets and need to cover. Okay, next is this cute little nail kit. It's definitely cute and aesthetic. Inside it has like a filer, scissors, and nail clippers. I don't really use it that often. I've clipped her nails maybe twice, but they're honestly just too short to really use. So I'm sure I'll use this as she gets older. Okay, this is a baby swing. My friend actually gifted this to us. At first, I did not like putting her in this because I felt like she was gonna fall out, but now that she's bigger, she uses it a lot more and she honestly loves it, especially when we bounce it for her and we go like this and she goes faster. She like loves it. She like cracked up last night when we did it, but she can also just bounce herself, and we'll have her kind of chew on her teether because she's teething right now on here, and she has a great time and we'll play music and dance and it's really fun. This is something that we did not get or put on our registry, but we bought after. It's a pack and play. On the top, you can have a changing cover. I think that's this section. It folds over, and a bassinet, which is on this couch. This is stuff we just moved, so we need to hang up this decor. But you can see the bassinet. You can see it right there. She was already too big for it by the time we got this, but we got it for the crib. And then underneath it turns into a pack and play, which we haven't used yet. This is amazing. She takes all of her daytime naps in here. And sometimes I'll have Minnie Mouse that she loves. My parents gave this to us. This actually was mine when I was a little girl, so she loves playing with her. We'll give her a pacifier, which are definitely useful, and this little yellow blanket that I'm pretty sure was my American Girl dolls. Sometimes we'll just get her all cozy in there. Obviously don't have like a stuffed animal or blanket if you're also sleeping, but if you're keeping an eye on them, then I think it's okay. I don't do it all the time. It also folds up really nice for travel, so that was a big reason we got it, was when we went to Indiana and we were able to check it on the plane, and she slept in it really well. Then we have our car seat. We actually just had to fold down the baby insert. We're trying to figure out how to take it out because she has outgrown that, but this is great. It checks right into our stroller, so we did that when we went to Indiana, but it also works really well in the car and she loves it. And you can use this part to pull up to block the sun, which living in Florida and being in the summer is very useful. And then this is the stroller that we got. I just keep it out here. So I just use this bassinet insert that's already in here, and then again it has that for the sun, and then on the bottom you have these little attachments that you can put for more sun protection, which is amazing because the sun gets in her eyes and she's not allowed to use sunblock, so it's really great to have something like that. And then you can also click the car seat right in. So this is great. I use this all the time for walks. There's also this little floor seat that I forgot to say. It's for 3 months and older. I actually haven't put her in it yet, but I plan to try it out. So I'll come back on if this is something that we like or not, but I haven't used it quite yet. Okay, I just moved upstairs to show you the upstairs things, and I put her in her bouncer, and this is it just so you can see, so she can kind of move and bounce herself if she wants, but you can also go faster like this, which she loves. Okay, so this is my daughter's nursery. So I'm gonna go through all the things that are in here. I'm kind of doing this vlog style, and I'll sit down and chat a little bit after, but just going through her house of what's actually out and what we're using on a daily basis. We'll start with her changing table. Yes, we have changing pads, but as you can see, she has stained them. This is her hamper, which obviously, as you can tell, we use all the time. The only reason there's something on top is because there's poop stains, and I just want to remember I need to put stain remover on there. But, which by the way, a really good poop stain trick that somebody taught me is peroxide mixed with dish soap and water. Spray that. If it's really bad, like a blowout, it might take 3 times or so to come out, but it does work. It's really good, and I use it on my own clothes too when she poops on them. So obviously changing pads, this is actually something we had to order more of after she was born because we realized just how often she goes through them. So we ordered a pack of blue after she was born, and we already had the pack of pink, so that was something we had to get later. When we do run out, I'll just put on like a swaddle. This is a hospital one, so I don't care as much if it gets stained on top, but this changing pad is so nice. And then it comes with all these drawers, which are so convenient. In the top, we just have diapers. And then in here, we have diaper cream. So we actually, what we got from our registry was Destin, but our pediatrician recommended Vaseline and Aquaphor, and this is great. It's a lot more natural, and this is what we end up using now. So we got this, but this is what was on our registry. And then I just keep trash bags for the diaper trash, which this is a little expensive. I honestly don't know if I'd say it's worth the price. I think it was like $80, but it is very convenient if someone gifts that to you. And then we just have baby wipes. On the bottom, we have a bunch of swaddles. We use this all the time for her spit up, as I mentioned. We never really swaddled her. She didn't like that. She loves kicking her legs, but these are great for spit up. And here it's kind of messy, but it's a mashup of some newborn and 3 months clothes, as most of her newborn clothes don't fit. Some do. We're transitioning into 3 to 6 months. Even some of the 3 months already don't fit, which is crazy because she's only 15 weeks. But this is that. Obviously, clothes are very essential. One clothing item I did have to order more of after were just sleep sacks. She stained. We only had one like traditional sleep sack, and she stained it all the time in the beginning. So we needed to have some spares. It was also a fuzzy one and she would just get too hot in there. So we got a couple of lighter ones. And here are those more like traditional burp cloths that I showed you before, as well as like bibs. Actually, that's a washcloth, but is this also? Okay, I didn't know I had so many washcloths in there. But like bibs like this. I don't really use these. We use the swaddles a lot more, so I guess it depends on your preference, but this drawer we do not use as often as we use the swaddles. We go through the swaddles a lot. And then these are some teethers. We haven't used these yet. She just barely started teething. We do use Sophie the giraffe. I think she was downstairs, but I didn't see her when I was down there. But she did start recently using her and she loves her. So I'll give you a report on if she likes these as well. And then down here are just more of like the 3 to 6 or 6 months that she doesn't fit into yet. These are kind of more of like stuffed animals, and then these are some puppet toys. I think she's too young to get into these. I've tried to introduce them to her. The only one she likes is Minnie, which I think is because she thinks it's like another human to play with. These, she's just not into them, but I'm sure as she gets older, she'll be more into them. Down here are books, and she definitely does like reading. We read a lot more, and as she's getting older, she's starting to touch the pages and flip them and interact with the images more. And then down here are her toys. Again, we don't really use toys. The playmat is her main toy that we use, so we haven't really used these, but I'm sure as she gets older, we'll use them more. Then we have this rocking chair. I definitely think this would be more useful when you're still doing night feedings, but we did not get it, or we had it before, but we didn't move until she was about 1 month old, and so we waited to put it together because there was just no room for it in our other apartment. I love it, but I don't do night feedings as much. Luckily, she sleeps through the nights most times, although we are at the 4-month regression, so that's a different story. But this is great for night feedings, and then we also, as you can see, read books. There's some books on the floor because this is where I read books, so that's awesome. But I don't think like you need a rocking chair. I didn't have it set up the first month and it was totally fine. Then we have our crib. We just barely set this up over the weekend. She has not slept in it. As you can see, I still need to wash the mattress cover and sheets that are on the floor. That's why they're not up there yet. This will be useful, obviously, when she transitions. She's starting to outgrow the bassinet, but we want to keep her in our room with us the first 6 months, so we just haven't transitioned her into this yet. Then for bath stuff, we have like this bath soap, lots of washcloths. Honestly, I think you just need a couple of towels, a washcloth, and 1 soap because, I mean, you don't even use soap that much in the beginning, and it's not like the washcloth gets dirty. So I don't think you need a whole bunch. I think just like 1 or 2 washcloths, 1 or 2 bath towels, and 1 soap would be enough. Okay, I just wanted to finish up with things that I would say as having a 4-month-old or younger were absolute necessities versus things that I think you can do without. And this is specific to 4 months or under because I'm sure some things I might use more once she's older, and it's also kid specific. Some kids love some stuff, some don't, but for our specific situation and for having someone who is 3.5 months old, these are what I would consider the must-haves. So I would say number 1 is that playmat. She uses it all the time, and not only is it great to put her down if I need to do something or for her to play, but she's also learning a ton of development skills on it. So I would say that is number 1. Number 2 is the diaper bag and the portable changing table. If you're going to be out and about with your baby, that is definitely a must-have. Without our pacifiers, we didn't use our pacifier until she was older, maybe around a month, just so I could develop good breastfeeding habits. But now it's really great when we're out and about and she's fussy, specifically in her car seat. It's really helpful because I can't pick her up and rock her or feed her or do any of those things. So I love having a pacifier for that. I think having multiple sleep sacks, changing pad covers, bassinet sheets, and bassinet mattress pads are definitely necessary because they're going to be going through their clothes a lot, and she specifically spit up and threw up all the time, so that was very helpful. I think books are a necessity because even though they don't understand what's going on now, it's great for their language development and it's something fun to do with them. I think just 1 to 2 good bath towels, washcloths, and soap. You don't need a ton of soap. If you saw, our bottle was like this big because you only need a little and you're only washing them like a couple of times a week. Now that we're entering the teething stage, I think Sophie the giraffe is definitely great to have. Be mindful though, there is a hole in the back and that does lead to mold, so be very careful of that. Maybe like cover it up, or I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do about that, but she just started using it and it's really great for that. Swaddles, I use those instead of burp cloths. I think they're great for spit up and different things that you need. A car seat and stroller, that's kind of necessary if you're ever going to leave your house. Aquaphor, great for diaper rashes and more natural. And then lastly is a baby hamper. It's really helpful just because we use different soaps for our clothes versus her clothes, so it's really helpful to be able to separate that so that you know to do different loads. Something I'd kind of put in like an in-between, like it's not necessary, but also I wouldn't say don't get it, and that is a breastfeeding pillow. In the early stages, I was very reliant on my breastfeeding pillow. I would not breastfeed if I did not have that pillow, and it definitely saved my back because your back will get sore from breastfeeding, and it really helped have better posture. But she kind of outgrew it really fast. I have a very large baby for her age, and so she stopped fitting on it, and it ended up being more of a hassle than it wasn't. So whoa, so I don't really use it anymore, but it was very useful for the first like 6 weeks maybe. Now for things I would say aren't necessary, I would say the swing and bouncer. Even though it's great to be able to put her down somewhere, I much prefer putting her in her playmat than in a container option. She just loves to like kick her legs and be mobile, and you can't really do that in container toys. I do like the swing that I can kind of move it around the house to different places. So if I'm in the kitchen or I'm upstairs, I can bring it. Whereas the playmat is, I mean, I could still do it, but it's just larger and more to move. So I would say if you are on a budget or you can only fit so much in your house, those things aren't absolutely necessary. I also would say burp cloths and bibs are not necessary. I would just use the swaddles, and honestly, at the hospital, they let you take everything, and I took probably 7 swaddles from the hospital, so you don't even have to pay for them if you don't want to. You can just use those, and it does exactly the same thing. I would say stuffed animals and toys you really don't need, at least at this age. She isn't really interested in them. The thing she's most interested in is her playmat and then just interacting with us. Her favorite thing on the planet is singing and dancing, listening to music. My husband will play the guitar for her, and that is her most favorite thing in the world. Playing with us. I literally gave her some tinfoil, which I would be careful because it could stab her in the eye or she could try to eat it, but it's just things around the house they can play with. You don't necessarily need to buy specific toys or stuffed animals. I would also say, even though it's really useful, having a specific thing for the bath for them to sit in isn't absolutely necessary. We started out with sponge baths, and I think if you weren't able to afford one or you're limited on what you can buy, you could continue doing baths on your counter, on a towel, until they're able to sit up. I don't think it's absolutely necessary to have one of those in-between bathers that you can use in the tub. Another thing I would say is this rocking chair. Even though I love it and I'm so grateful to have it, I don't think it's necessary. So these are just things that if you are on a budget or have limited space, they're not absolutely necessary. So I would say rocking chair is great, but it's not necessary. On the same front, I would say a monitor. Even though, again, if you're going to be away from your baby, if they're sleeping in a different room or you want to leave them and go do something else while they're napping or they're playing, then obviously you should have one. You should not leave them alone in a room. But at this age, I'm really not away from her very often. I thought I would use it a lot more being in a bigger house now, but she's just not at the stage where I'm really leaving her in a room alone. So I think that one will kick in more when she's older and she's sleeping in her own room for me to be able to watch her. But maybe if you're limited, that's something you can delay buying until they're older. Next, I would say baby carriers. I have 2. I have like the cloth one that wraps around you and then more of the carrier. I've never used the cloth one that goes around me. It honestly looked too complicated and I never even tried it. And then the more exterior carrier, I did use that all the time, but my baby just loves being mobile. She loves kicking. She does not like being constrained in a space. As you can see, she's constantly moving. So even though it's helpful to be able to like theoretically put them on you so you can move about and do things, in my case, she just didn't want to be in there, and that really wasn't an option. So I just kind of bit the bullet in the beginning on not being as productive as I would have wanted to. And when you're at church or you're out and about somewhere, you can just carry her. I didn't even use my carrier the entire time I traveled a few weeks ago. I just held her or put her in the stroller, and that was totally fine. So I don't think they're absolutely necessary, and you definitely don't need to. Then I would say the Destin diaper cream, as I mentioned, Aquaphor is just a lot better of an option in my opinion, and I wouldn't use the Destin one. And then pumping in bottles. So I have not pumped. If you are going to be working a lot or having babysitters a lot or something where, or you just want your husband to be able to help more, or you can't breastfeed, then obviously that's a great option. But I have yet to use my pump or bottles or anything like that. I've only been breastfeeding, so that's not something I've needed. And then lastly, I would say the diaper trash can. It's really nice to be able to have diapers in there and not smell them as much and have them in a separate trash can. But it's like $80, and I don't think you need to be spending $80 on a trash can. So that is my opinion on what I would say are absolutely necessary and what you could probably do without if you're limited or on a budget for a baby 4 months and under. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have anything that you think is a necessity or things that you didn't really need, leave them down in the comments so we can all help each other out. If you have any video suggestions or things you want to see from me, leave those in the comments as well. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!